Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:30 on the dot. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Mulberry City Council. Today is April the 17th, 2025. We are going to go ahead and get started. And before we call the roll and start officially, Councilman Doug Ingram has agreed to lead us in an invocation and the pledge. So if you could stand if you're able, and we'll do those.
You bow your heads, please. Dear Father, thank you for allowing us all to come together here tonight as a council with all the great citizens of Mulberry. Let us be measured in our approach, always listen well, always communicate well, and please guide us to the right outcomes for our city. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which is a republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilman Ingram. I'm going to go ahead and start us out tonight, as I always do, and call the roll. We're going to go in order of the districts. So if you please could announce present if you are here. We're going to start with District 1, Councilman Tim Sullivan. Present. Thank you. District 2, that is me, Michael Coker, I am present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields.
Present.
District 4, our Mayor Pro Tem, Michael Rudnick.
Present.
And then District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram.
Present.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you could notate that all 5 members of the Mulberry City Council are here tonight. We're going to go right into the opening comments of the mayor and council. I just have one thing that I want to say, is that I want to give show some gratitude for Mr. Jamie Palmer here. He has been a godsend, I would say, to every one of the gentlemen on this stage as far as the organization, coordinating. It's like herding cats, obviously, with everything going on in the city. And he has made my life tremendously easier, so I very much appreciate that. So that is all I wanted to say tonight, is just thank him and say I really appreciate all you're doing for us. Keep up the good work, okay? All right, does any of the other council have any other comments they'd like to make?
Not this evening.
Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and consider this evening's agenda. There is, for anyone that's here, I will go ahead and say that there are copies of the agenda on the podium if you'd like one. We also have a pad up there, so we will have public comments tonight. If you'd like to make a public comment, we just ask that you write your name down on that piece of paper for the record. But we'll go ahead and consider tonight's agenda. Councilman, have you had an opportunity to review the agenda? Is there any items that need to be, any amendments, changes, or additions that we need to have?
Nope, none for me.
No.
All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion regarding tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
All right, thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion about the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, it's unanimous that tonight's agenda is hereby adopted. The next item on the agenda is item H, which is consideration of the March 13th, 2025 minutes. Has the council had an opportunity to review those minutes, and is there any amendments or changes that need to be made?
None that I see.
No, that's not.
All right, hearing none, I will entertain a moment to adopt the March 13th, 2025 amendments as presented.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes from the March 13th meeting as amended.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the minutes from March 13th, 2025 are hereby adopted. All right, moving on to item I, which is a consideration of the March 31st, 2025 minutes. Again, is there any amendments or changes to the March 31st, 2025 minutes? Hearing none, then I will make a motion to adopt the March 31st, 2025 meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right. It is unanimous by a vote of 5 that the minutes from the March 31st, 2025 meeting are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to item J, which is our public comment section. Would anyone like to make a public comment this evening? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Council. My name is Stephen Tang. I'm a resident in District 4 and also a businessman. I just want to first and foremost say thank you to Mayor Pro Tem and the city team for helping me to get the license that I need to open up my restaurants. So we're going to have a soft opening next week. So thank you all. As a resident for this city, in this district for over like 10 years, I would like to grow with the city, and I would like to focus my future investment in the city, if possible. I have a package store business in town of Rossington, and now I want to move into this city. So I don't know like what is the process in terms of getting the package store license, because I try to build a package store as well as another high-end restaurant around this area. So if I can get hold of the information, how I can get hold to progress with that. I don't know what is your process in these cities.
Sure, and typically we don't usually answer questions, but I'll tell you what, talk to Jamie after the meeting. He can answer all those questions for you. But thank you for your business, and thank you for supporting Mulberry. We appreciate it. Would anyone else like to make a public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment section. That brings us to our action items K. The first item is KA, which is consideration of resolution 2025-0434, which is a resolution adopting a holiday calendar for the city and for City Hall. Is there any discussion or questions about the proposed holiday calendar for, I guess this would be for the remainder of this year, 2025?
This is just for the remainder of this year?
It is. We will set a new calendar every year, but since we don't have one, this gives us the opportunity to plan for when the office is going to be closed and put up notices.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the city holiday calendar as presented.
On resolution 2025-0434.
Yes, on resolution 2025-04-34 for the remainder of 2025.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution number 2025-0434, adopting a holiday schedule for the remainder of 2025 is hereby adopted. All right, moving on to action item part 1 KB, which is consideration of resolution 2025-0435, which is a resolution adopting an alcohol license fee schedule. Ms. McQuaid, are you going to discuss this one for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
This is pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, just let me know. This is now that we have the ability to accept alcohol licenses, since that moratorium was lifted on that, we need a fee schedule to be able to assess a fee. This is not an excise tax that was established by the ordinance itself. This would just be fees for a business applying for an alcohol license or someone applying for a license.
Any questions?
I have a question, I have a few questions. The percentage, the excise tax, that still resides, how does that work? Does that still reside elsewhere?
Yeah, so it's in the actual alcohol ordinance.
Okay.
This is just a fee schedule for the issuance of the permits. It's not related to the taxing of the alcohol.
Got it. So so this is a one-time fee that's paid,
I believe it's a one-time fee, yeah.
and the duration is forever, or?
Unless there would be a change that would constitute the need for a new license, change of ownership usually would constitute a new
And
license,
that's
because you
all
have,
documented?
yeah, that would be part of the ordinance.
Right. So one-time fee, it's good, you pay your ongoing tax. and-
Yeah, and I think, you probably have a renewal process. I haven't read the ordinance, so I apologize, I can't speak
Yeah.
in great detail.
Okay.
But, if that would all be outlined in the ordinance, if there was a yearly renewal. I know change of business would constitute a new permit,
Gotcha.
change in location, change in ownership. because it's tied to the background checks and
Right,
such.
and the applicant, okay.
Yeah.
So it just follows the same cost
Yeah.
structure for most of our municipalities. Is the cost structure the same
Yeah, we referenced some peer communities to help develop it.
in Gwinnett?
We use Peachtree Corners and Johns Creek, which is where the ordinance and application were
Got it.
originated from.
Can you explain the difference between when you have the wholesale prices with outside city limits versus within? What is that, how does that work?
That would, I believe, be for catering,
Okay.
or
That's
if you're, yeah.
So someone to hire outside catering, they still have to come get a special event permit and all that will be tied into it. So we have to set the fee for anybody who's doing any type of alcohol sale inside the city.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions from the council?
I just have one question. Do we know approximately how many businesses within the city limits serve alcohol?
I don't have that number because we haven't started issuing those licenses. We could review like a occupancy type for restaurants and try and give you an estimate.
Yeah.
But not all restaurants serve alcohol, so.
I do know that that's something that our finance manager and the finance team is starting to put together. The first step was to get pouring permit put together, get everything ready for excise, get a fee schedule done. We wanted to make sure that we would be able to allow for businesses who would need to get a new permit for whatever reason, and be ready for renewals for them when their permit with Gwinnett for this year runs out. So that's why we're kind of trying to put this in place first. Then we'll try to get an idea of how many they are. Not to get too far off this subject, but you're gonna see probably the next couple of meetings from now, we're gonna bring kind of the budget and a couple other things so we can kind of show a little bit more consistency of what these numbers look like.
Okay.
I have one additional question, I'm not sure
Yes,
we can
sir.
answer it, but on the pour permits, I think there was somebody in the city that had mentioned they're paying a pour permit, it was gonna go to, Big Gwinnett County, because that's who was over. Are those typically done future oriented, so I'm paying the pour permit today for the next 2 years, or?
I would imagine so, because
Okay.
you're getting licensed to serve alcohol at a business as like the server or the bartender.
Got it.
So it
So
should
it's all
be,
forward oriented, so
Mhm.
James, just to know, this particular establishment in Mulberry was kind of confused, like, are those dollars going to the city, or are they coming to Gwinnett? So there's probably some question marks about there. And
Yeah.
also the pro rata treatment, I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but.
I know part of it, we're working with the police to do the fingerprinting component, since
Okay.
we're not set up security-wise
Yeah.
to handle the background checks and fingerprinting. So that may be where that confusion was, if she was,
Well, the reason I asked more specifically, maybe this is a little bit to you too, Jamie, is that if you're paying a pour permit in October, it's gonna cover 2026, 2027, because I think some of those permits are 2 years or whatever. If those are paid to Gwinnett County.
if they've been
If
previously.
they've been, right.
I think if we had a,
So there's like probably a recoup element there that we need to just kind of.
We are looking at anything that would need to be recouped,
Yeah.
right? One thing that we are doing, just so if anybody needs one, we're doing paper applications,
Okay.
right? Sarah had mentioned, we're working with PD for background checks.
Sure,
There are things that we are still, starting to hopefully soon have discussions with Gwinnett County about.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of that, we're gonna do everything that we can in the interim
Yeah.
to make sure that businesses can get what they need from us. And then we may have to retrofix some things once certain IGAs are in place.
yeah. I think for everybody, obviously I know the council knows this, but for some of the folks that are in Mulberry and here in attendance, I think our objective is if those fees that are future oriented are being paid to another entity, we want to amortize the costs that we have as a city by trying to, grab some of those dollars that are rightfully, because the expense structure's on you and staff
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
administer, so we just want to make sure we take care of that.
We
appropriately.
will, and we are gonna make sure that, every business is taken care of properly.
100%,
we can note internally if they had an existing pour
Yeah,
license.
gotcha,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it came up, so thank you for walking me through that.
Any other questions about resolution 2025-0435? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-0435 regarding adoption of an alcohol license fee schedule. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution 2025-0435 pertaining to alcohol license fees is hereby adopted. Okay, moving right along. Item C, Mr. Palmer, do you want to talk about this?
I don't mind.
I'll let you talk about it.
So, as a part of, as you all know, right, we've been working on trying to get everything together for our comprehensive plan. One of those things and one of those requirements is showing what our organizational chart is. This is a chart of just ideas and things that we've thrown in there as far as things that we may see from a consultant side or anything else of that nature over the next 3 to 5 years. That is not to say this organizational chart is the end all be all, but this is what we want to go ahead and start working with you all's consent and approval.
Any questions for Mr. Palmer regarding the organizational chart as proposed? Any discussion? Mr. Palmer, would you like us to take a vote on this organizational chart?
I would, just for the record, right? So then when I bring the entire comp plan back, this would just be something that's done, but we can also just do the entire thing when we do the presentation.
I noticed in here, looks like under you as the city manager, obviously we have the police department. I mean, is that, you mean that you would coordinate with the police department, is that what you're?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we, outside of the services that we already have, right? This is just making sure that they're recognized as something that we feel is a part of the city just as well.
Perfect, sounds great.
I actually have one question.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. So on the, we had a chance to talk about this a little bit, so I think I understand the answer, but I see we have communications and IT and HR stuff, and then we have a separate box with, different functions, and I see consultants. Today, we have a structure that is consultant heavy in some ways, right? That we've contracted with outside entities that are providing different services. Is the idea that eventually some of that communications and IT infrastructure is here in the city in terms of personnel, or are they still contracted?
Long range vision, we would like to bring some employees inside for have employees inside the city, right? You see this across all new cities.
Yeah.
They start out with A&E firms, and then eventually, you go to an employee-based system. This is trying to set some form of organizational chart that we can try to start to live with little modifications over the next 5 to 10 years.
Gotcha. And the 2 boxes are really just, that's how you see the function as far as tech heavy on one side and then a bit more outreach oriented on this.
So part of the reason why it's structured that way, just the boxes, right, is for categorical reasons. It's modeled a little bit after how Milton does theirs.
Mhm.
We don't have the ability or the bandwidth for like having a deputy or any other executive level stuff, right? But setting this up this way, so for those of you who don't know, every Monday at 10 o'clock, we have a staff meeting, right? Then throughout the week, we have individual meetings, depending on what it is. We'll talk about community development, we'll talk about IT services, we'll talk about, what I call in-house operations that deals with how we order supplies. Then we have our finance meetings. Eventually, when we start having additional internal things, right, we may end up having to have 2 separate staff meetings based upon core systems. And that's how I'm breaking it up as inside the house and outside the house.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So,
Cool. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt this organizational chart as presented.
I'll make a motion to adopt the organizational chart as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the organizational chart as presented is hereby adopted.
thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to item L, which is a first read of ordinance 2025-04-141. Is Ms. McQuaid, you going to present this?
I am.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is a proposed amendment to Chapter 10, which is businesses building and building regulations. This amendment is proposing that any structure that is greater than 3 stories or a total site gross floor area greater than 200,000 square feet be classified under the IBC as a type 1 or type 2 standard. And that is relating to combustible materials, and it's in the best interest of public health and safety. So we're doing the first reading tonight. The agenda lists the second reading as April 24th. That's actually incorrect. We have to, because we're amending the building code and we're essentially going above what the state of Georgia requires, we have to submit the proposed amendment to DCA for review. That is a 60-day review period, and we cannot make that change official until that window has passed. They can't technically deny our proposal to change the ordinance. They can provide comments back. So either way, we will move forward on, we're thinking it'll be July 10th. That is after the 60-day window. That is a council meeting. It's the second Tuesday in July. So tentatively, that is what we are thinking it will be, but we'll update and post notice as required once that's confirmed.
Any questions from the council?
DCA, Department of Community.
That's correct, yeah. Sorry.
Inside baseball.
I would like to add, again, the focus too is how we want to make sure the comp plan looks. Submitting this, the timing of July 10th after the 6-day period goes along with some of the other things that we're working with. It's after the day our comp plan is due. We want to be able to show that our architectural features and our building code standards are to what the citizens have expressed that they want in Mulberry before we start getting this to public to look at the entire comp plan. That's why we're doing the architectural standards before Planning Commission. We're doing the building code before you all at Planning Commission take a look at. Then we'll have, some other things that have been going on at the next meeting.
Mr. Riley, is there a public hearing portion of this for the first read or no?
None.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, that'll conclude the first read of ordinance 2025-04141. That'll bring us to page 2 of the agenda, which is the first read of ordinance 2025-04142, which is an ordinance pertaining to urban camping. Who's going to present this one?
Mr. Riley.
Mr. Riley is going to present this for us. Thank you.
Just very simply, this is an urban camping ordinance. This is one that will control people who would want to go sleep in the parks or crawl down in the swales and decide to sleep overnight. This is pretty standard. You're going to find this in most of your suburban and your urban ordinances. This is just the first read, and for the second read on the next agenda.
Any questions for Mr. Riley on the first read of ordinance 2025-04141 pertaining to urban camping? Hearing none, that will conclude the first read of ordinance 2025-04142. Okay, the next item up is a proposed executive session. Is there items that we need to discuss in executive session today? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to waive, is that the correct term, waive executive session? What would be the?
I think that there's no need, that you can just go forward to the next one.
Okay, then we'll proceed, which means that is all we have for tonight. So thank you everyone for being here. We actually have another meeting next week, so on Thursday, the 24th. But thank you guys. We love seeing a great crowd. We love this community, and we love seeing the support that we all have to work together to make it the best we can be. So at this time, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, we are hereby adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody be safe driving home.